Hello! Today I'd like to talk about productivity. Now, this is a fairly important topic if you're an artist and you're trying to create. I know a lot of the time, in a creative profession like that, you're going to come across art block, you're not going to want to draw, you're not going to feel like drawing, you're not going to feel like painting. And I'm going to go over just a couple of things that help me kind of overcome a lot of those feelings. They work for me. I don't think it needs to be said that they might not work for you. Everyone's different, everyone finds their own ways to tackle and deal with problems. Just before I begin talking about this, it's very important to note that anything I say, use your brain, don't overwork yourself. Everything should be in moderation. You need to take plenty of breaks, drink plenty of water. Overwork is a big issue, especially in this industry, and you need to look after yourselves first and worry about art and productivity later. Now, in the background we've got sped up footage of a lot of studies. A lot of studies that I have done between 6 a.m. and 9 a.m. in the morning recently. I've been waking up, getting in a Discord call with some Belgian people and some other people from the UK, and I've just been painting. Now, a lot of people have asked me before, how do you produce so much? How do you paint so often? When I'm, posting in Discord servers and on my Instagram and things. And really, this goes to show that, I've done this in 3 hours before 9 a.m. when the average uni student might not even be up. And I can then carry on for the rest of the day, do my work, go for a walk, fit in social time, whatever else I need, fully aware that I've already done 3 or 4 studies in the morning. Almost immediately I can hear you saying, "Joe, I'm not a morning person." Well, newsflash, you are a morning person. You've evolved over thousands and thousands of years to wake up when the sun comes up and go to sleep when the sun goes down. If you're waking up, around midday, even later, and you're going to bed at like 3-4 a.m., you've kind of messed up what evolution's given you. You might be sitting on your phone too late. You might be staying up playing games. You might have your reasons for that. And that's a choice that you've made, and that's okay. But it's also a choice to get up early. If you just force yourself to get up early, set an alarm, after 3 or 4 days, I imagine you'll get pretty used to it. Maybe not as early as 6 a.m. like I've been doing, because I've got to say even that is slightly awful even for me. But a reasonable time, even 9 a.m. You get up 9 a.m., get work done. The rest of the day is going to just flow as soon as you start, because starting's the hardest part. In physics, you've got Newton's first law, which states that things at rest will stay at rest, and things in motion will remain in motion, unless affected by an external source. Now, you can take that very literally in the case of a lot of artists. If you are at rest, aka asleep, you're going to stay in that kind of sleepy state. If you wake up and you force yourself into motion, you kickstart the day, it's going to be a lot easier for you to stay in motion, to stay producing, to keep on painting, keep on producing work, than it would be if you were kind of hesitating. Now, I hope I'm not coming off too Shia LaBeouf, just do it. Although, certainly that is an element that you have to come to terms with, is that you are the master of your own mind, and if you want to do work, you can go and do work. But more than that, I want to offer you some advice on how you kickstart it into motion, rather than just saying, get up, get to work. I want to give you some tips of things that have helped me start and be productive. So, tip number 1, I've already kind of revealed it. It's get up early. Now, getting up early is as easy as setting an alarm. You set an alarm on either side of your room, obnoxiously loud. Man, you're going to have a hard time going back to sleep, especially if you have to get up and walk over to your alarm and manually turn it off, all sleepy. Tip 2, which kind of coincides with this, is get some buddies together, get some little study buddies together, preferably on, you know, Discord or any kind of social media, and you can all agree that you're going to wake up and torture yourselves at a specific time. Now, I don't know if it's some weird, perverse camaraderie, but genuinely, when other people are suffering with you, it makes your suffering so much more bearable. When you're waking up at 6 a.m, if you're the only one waking up at 6 a.m, you're going to let yourself off. You're going to go, oh, you know, I'm going to have another couple of hours of sleep. But when you're waking up at 6 a.m. and you've got 4 other people who have just woken up and they're all in a Discord call waiting for you, you cannot go back to sleep. You have to sit with them and suffer together, because you kind of owe it to them at that point, especially if you've made that prior commitment. If you've said, you know, the night before, hey, we're all going to do this, then you're locked in then. You have to do it. Now that's half the battle. Getting up is half the battle. What you need is this group of friends to really push you to do your first study or painting when you get up. Because you could sit in a call at 6 a.m. with your buddies and you could chat about nonsense and not actually do any work, and that wouldn't be super useful. You'd just be sleepy, and you wouldn't even get the benefit of producing anything. So I personally have set up some Pinterest boards before I go to bed, so that when I wake up in the morning, I already have my references. I can just select one and go. And personally, picking references is like the hardest thing for me. I don't know why. I'm very, very fussy. I look for a reference with like the perfect lighting and the perfect subject matter and everything, and it just, there's always a better subject matter on the horizon. So that's tip 2. Tip 3 has just come on the screen. It's do something stupid. Like, if you're struggling to stay productive, if you're onto your second or third study and you're feeling the burn, you're getting quite tired of it, or bored maybe, and you want to stop, switch it up, take a break. It doesn't have to be this ridiculous, but I've found recently that drawing horrific giant suits of your favorite childhood characters tends to refresh you strangely. After I painted this Barney, I was ready to go with some more studies, and everyone in the call, all of my Discord friends, agreed that they had the same effect. So if it's just a dumb meme, if it's maybe fan art, if it's like your favorite character from something, take that break, but don't lose your momentum. If you take a break and you sit on your phone on a game, likelihood is you're not going to come back to painting. You're going to stay on that game. You're not going to pick up the tablet pen again, right? But if you have a mental break while continuing physically, remember Newton's law. You want to keep what's in motion. You keep painting, but you just paint something that's a lot less taxing on your brain. Even if that's just maybe a sphere, primitive shapes, painting something that you enjoy or something that's deliberately silly. Don't worry about the quality of the painting so much, as long as you carry on painting, but give your mind a bit of a rest. So for me, that was this Barney, which I actually ended up enjoying in the end. But for you, it could be, I don't know, an anime character, something else. Just take that mental break, because rests are important. In a similar vein of thought, you can feasibly rotate what you're doing in a kind of round robin so that you're permanently on a break. And let me explain myself there. In primary schools in Britain, and even secondary schools, you always did round robin exercises where there were lots of different tables set up with different activities, and you went from one table to another table every 10 minutes, kind of rotating. And if you can apply that to your art, man, is it powerful. So don't go painting pillars for 5 hours in a row. You might see that here, with all the stuff going on in the background, I've gone all the way from weird skeleton men to Barney the dinosaur to an elephant seal, or I think it was a manatee, to a ninja, and you'll see that I'm going to go onto some kind of desert archways, a McDonald's mascot, and I did a portrait as well, right? So the idea is that physically, again, you're carrying on painting, you're continuing, you're building up all that muscle memory, but mentally you're in a completely different place every time. Not just in terms of subject matter, but the way I'm approaching these paintings is different. If you've seen the experimentation video I did, that was kind of a similar point. But the whole idea is that if I start one painting with black and white values, I'm going to start another painting with a pattern stamp tool, and I'm going to start another painting with a completely different type of brush altogether, and I'm maybe going to play around more with texture than colour. I'm not focusing on the same thing every painting. This is a somewhat strange way of working. I know that usually if you're trying to focus on one task and study it properly, then it would benefit you a lot to stay on the same topic, to stay doing the same thing so that you actually properly absorb that information. But for me, I'm just studying to build up muscle memory, to get better at painting in general. I wasn't trying to pin down any specific thing that I wanted to improve. And the main part of me waking up at 6 a.m. to do these isn't even to practice a specific technique. It was just to get me going for the rest of the day. I haven't included it in this video, but you should know that after I did these 6 a.m. studies, I think 4 or 5 of them, these in the background are from 2 separate days. I went on to do a lot of my uni work that I needed to do, and I felt that I could focus a lot more on that because I'd gotten all of this kind of creative energy almost out of my system, like I'm some sort of restless child. So flitting from thing to thing can actually benefit you when usually it might hamper your progress. Now, having said all of this, I want to provide you guys with the opportunity, with the tools you'd need to get going yourselves, to start being productive. I know it's a big step for a lot of people who barely ever paint. And I should also preface that this is mainly for students who, they've got a lot of time on their hands. If you've got a full-time job and you're not finding time to paint, that's more than understandable. You need that rest. You can't be working on something that's meant to be an enjoyable hobby. But for art students, I'm going to link my Pinterest in the description, where I've got plenty of references so that you don't even have to do that. You can wake up, or if you want to work late, you can do that. All you need to do is grab a reference from boards that have already been made. All of the references on the boards have nice lighting, nice color, nice value. You don't have to make that decision. Grab any random one and get going. I'd also like to make a Discord server. Now, I don't know if there's enough demand for this, but if you comment down below or message me or whatever, I'm thinking of setting up a nice friendly server where effectively someone is always going to be in VC for different time zones. So if you want to wake up early and maybe you don't have that community, that support network surrounding you that will allow you to get up and be productive in a kind of healthy and happy way, I'm going to try and build one. That is on the basis that there's enough demand for it. So just let me know however you can, and I'll get that set up pronto. If I don't get that set up, if there's not enough demand for it, the people who do want something similar to that, there are plenty of public servers out there. I know that there are a lot of Patreon servers that are maybe only $1 a month as well. So I think it is important for you to form your own networks sometimes, because then you're in control of who's in it. You know who you're going to be communicating with. It's always better if there are friends. Talking about that commitment again, if you say to a bunch of strangers that you're going to wake up at 6 a.m, there's not that much pressure to wake up at 6 a.m. compared with if you tell your best mates that you're going to be up and ready to study. So consider that as well. Now, this video is coming to an end. I think we have 2 studies left. This one crashed while I was in the middle of doing it. So friendly reminder to save your work, guys. It's horrible and soul crushing when your work gets deleted, so there's your monthly reminder to save your work. Now, once again, just to hammer home some of these points I've already been talking about, I'm approaching this in a distinctly different way than my other studies. I started with a bunch of textury freckle shapes, so I'm beginning with texture and plotting in form on top of that, which seems fun. I'll have to play around with it a bit more, and this is the nice thing about these little early morning sessions is, as I've already said, you're not really concentrating too hard on a specific topic that you're trying to learn. This is the time when you're just pushing yourself to produce no matter what you're producing, to tell yourself that you can do that you're capable of producing it when you want to. And what you end up with is usually a lot of interesting kind of experimental paintings that you might not normally produce if you wake up at, say, 10 or 11 and you're restricted in terms of time. You're going to be a lot more careful then. You might stick to what you know because you know that you've got some sort of deadline coming up. But when you wake up early in the morning, there's none of that. Just paint. Painting is the most important thing. Doesn't matter what you paint, doesn't matter how you paint, just paint. This has really come full circle back to the Shia LaBeouf's kind of attitude, hasn't it? But at the end of the day, that really is what you need sometimes, is someone with a gun to your head telling you that you need to do some work. And on that note, it's approaching 11 p.m. I'm going to be getting up early tomorrow morning, and I want to get some sleep. So I will leave you with the rest of this lovely time-lapse of a nice archway that ends up being a bit sci-fi, if I remember. I hope you have a good day. Hope you have a good morning or a good evening whenever you're watching this. And I hope you take a moment and just consider what you could do to be a little bit more productive. It's tiny changes that make a larger difference in terms of productivity. Also, I have another video that I've been thinking of doing where I go through all 500 paintings that I did in 2020. So if you want to see that, comment down below, let me know. But that's that. See you in the next one.